Thanks so much for tuning in to another edition of the Bloody Legends with Jai That Aussie Metal Guy and Jim Taylor. Make sure you're a bloody legend and hit that like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the great content from these bloody legends. G'day, how you all going? It's time for another episode of the Bloody Legends with myself, Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, and my partner in crime, Jim Taylor. Today we do have a special treat for all you rock and metal enthusiasts. Today, joining us is none other than Marcos Leal, formerly of Ill Niño. Also, he's his shattered son, powerhouse vocalist of the newish hard rock band Swim the Current, also known for his dynamic range, emotive performance. Marcos has been making waves with the band's latest single, Stay and So Low. We get to dive into the band's formation, some of the stories behind the music, and what makes Swim the Current a force to be reckoned with in the rock scene. So get ready to join us for some more. Marcos, thank you so much for joining us, my friend.
Thank you guys for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be on.
Absolute bloody pleasure to get to chat to you about Swim the Current. Really enjoying the stuff that's being sent over. The latest single, Stay and So Low, are really, really good. But first off, man, can you tell me how this all began for you guys?
Yeah, man, it was pretty organic, dude. That's kind of the beautiful thing about this situation was, I was in El Nino for about 5 years, and I was doing features from time to time, and bands would hit me up to feature on tracks or write some stuff for their EPs or whatever. But George Pond, the bass player, hit me up and was like, "Yo, man, we want to send you this track. We want to get you to sing on it." So of course, typical feature. This one was a little different though, because when I heard it, I was like, "Whoa, this doesn't sound like." You know how normal bands are, whether they send you the demo, it's a rough. They sent me this and it was like flawless. So, I wrote to it instantly. You know what I mean? I think I wrote the song's called We're Not the Same. I think I wrote the chorus in the first 10 minutes of hearing the song. So,
by the way, wonderful and catchy song, brother.
Thank you so much.
So good.
Yeah,
it's
man.
So good, dude.
Yeah, it was that's what kind of caught my attention at first is I was like, okay, well, this kind of flows off of the tongue for me. And, I was really busy in El Nino at the time. And I was busy with Shattered Sun. And, so, they were sending me more tracks and more tracks. And I think I kind of was like, okay, well, you know what? I don't want to really start up another metal band, because I was in, El Nino, I was in Swim the Current, or I was in Shattered Sun, and I said, I have this love for country rock music, man. It's been something that's in my blood since I was a little kid, and I was like, hey, I want to travel this direction, and if you guys are interested, interested in having me do vocals, I would love to go this direction. And George kind of took that as a challenge, man, and he kind of bulldozed the first initial songs. And at first I wasn't even committed to the band, but as soon as I heard George and Joe and Greg and Chris kind of hammering these tracks out in the direction that I wanted to go, I was like, man, this is something special, and I need to follow it.
Yeah.
So you did touch there on the country rock influences as well. Like people like myself do know you kind of El Nino. You did some other stuff with some other bands as well, which were really fucking cool as well. But as you said, this is something different. Tell me a little bit about some of the influences and kind of inspirations that kind of led you down this path, kind of.
Yeah, well, I'm a South Texas kid. I've always been a South Texas kid, born and raised, and country music and Tejano music are very much a part of my DNA, man. I've been listening to, George Strait and Brooks and Dunn and, all the legends since I was a kid, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where my love for it started. And, when I was a kid, I kind of listened to this music with resentment, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. I was a metalhead, you know what I mean? I was into Korn and Slipknot and fucking El Nino and Machine Head, and I didn't give a fuck about this music. And it was my dad. I remember to this day, my dad told me, yeah, you feel that way now, but as you get older, you're gonna come back around to this. And I was like, yeah, what the fuck ever. And sure,
Yeah.
sure enough, man, I listen to country music and Tejano music a lot while I'm warming up and getting ready
Yeah.
for shows. And I just kind of took the chance and said, hey, let me try my voice with it with a little bit of my style in it, and it wound up working out.
So what's that like been like for you as a vocalist, exploring those different aspects? You know what I mean? Like, because you could have gone into another metal band and just picked up another thing. So for this, there's a lot more to it than just I'm just joining another band. It's exploring another artistic aspect of your vocal styling and kind of who you are as well. So tell me a little bit about that process.
Absolutely. I think for the past, with Shattered Sun, we were kind of on the come up, so we did everything as a team. But when I got into El Nino, the dynamic was different. They kind of have this little box and little style that they stay in, and you can't really stray too far out. And anytime I would do that, I would I'd be met with no, we have to stay here. We have to be here, and you can't go there or there. And I think,
Right.
at first I was like, okay, that's cool. But after a while I was like, man, it's really bogging me down, and it's really and I don't mean this as disrespect to anybody, but
No.
I just got tired of singing like another guy. You know what I mean? And singing a style that somebody else created. And I think 5 years into the band, it kind of made me pull my hair out a little bit. And as soon as I started working like this way, I saw it was such a challenge. Like one thing that I say all the
Right.
time is, in metal, I can't say, or in metal, you're like, oh, pick up your fucking ass, move this motherfucking circle pit. Like, and now I'm transitioning to a
Yeah.
market that they don't do that. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
strictly songwriting, strictly, the story that's being told. So it's been a challenge, but man, I love challenges, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
And like I said, the songs came so fast. We already have 12 songs. We already have a record and mix and master already. And I think I've been in the band
Beautiful.
maybe 6 months.
Oh, that's wonderful. No. Well, and again, that's a testament to you're a very dynamic. There's a difference between, and I hope don't take this the wrong way. There's singers and there's vocalists. In my opinion,
Yeah.
a vocalist is someone that can do it all.
Yeah.
Singer, you get a singer, you know. Um, so I discovered Ill Niño. So I'm a big soundtrack fan. I discovered Nino from the Freddy versus Jason soundtrack,
Oh yeah.
and
I remember it.
I was gonna say, "Oh, the lies in me." I was like, "Wow." Well, and it struck me. It struck me. I was like, "Wow, this is very." It has a very Latino sound,
Yeah.
and like, dum, da, ka, dum, da, ka. So you also have our brothers in Non-Point that had a very
Mhm.
similar like approach, and it's like you grew up on, like you mentioned, Tejano music, so you cannot mention not mention Tejano music without mentioning Selena.
Yeah,
And
that's my influence. I mean, as
oh
soon as I
dude,
got in the band, one of the first things I said was, "Hey, we have to fucking cover a Selena song." And sure enough, we did. And
exactly.
Tejano music played a big part in me getting the job
Yes,
in El
sir.
Nino, because that's
That's
that's where my heart
you,
and soul was.
you can hear that in your soul, brother.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And shout out to the Freddy versus Jason soundtrack. I think that is one of the
Dude,
most incredible soundtracks of all
dude.
time.
Absolutely. A lot of those soundtracks. And that's what was so interesting. That I find with heavy music. is that you find that you have B-sides. It's like, oh man, I forgot we did that song, and that was like an unknown single off that record. But like, I I collect soundtracks, so I that's how I discovered Ill Niño, and then I had Resident Evil, all the Resident
Oh,
Evil, and I was
another
like,
good one.
oh,
Night of the
dude,
Living Dead, the
Night of the
Crow
Living
one.
Dead, bro.
Dude, there's so many
Texas,
these soundtracks
The
which you
Crow.
found different,
Oh
which
my
you found
god,
different bands through, dude.
right?
Hey,
You get it,
a low key good one was the Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah,
The Mortal Kombat one
dude.
that had Gravity Kills on it. It had Typo
Gravity Kills,
Negative, and
dude.
it had a yeah,
It
good
had,
shit,
and
good shit.
again, I got to shout out to the boss. I got to shout out to the boss. So Morgan Rose is my boss from Imagine Records.
Hmm.
Seven Dust was on one of those Mortal Kombat records, but not at Seven Dust. Crawl Space. And
Really?
yeah, if you look up one of, I don't think it's so there was a couple Mortal Kombat records. You had the first record, and then they had like more Mortal Kombat, and it had like Typo Negative and stuff like that. But yeah, it was Seven Dust, but they were known as Crawl Space.
Wow.
And
You know what? I'm gonna go fucking listen to that as soon as we're done here.
and
Yeah,
then off
Morgan is a great guy.
he and I texted him, so he actually on our first record, me and Leonard's record for Lenny, he did our drums and everything. And it was so funny because going back, especially, I guess I will not ask your age, but you know, I will. So
36.
you're about, no, you're not.
I'm
Are you
36. Yes,
serious?
sir.
Oh
Yes,
my
sir.
God, I feel ancient. Uh, I do. Well, Jai and I are 43, 44 respectively.
no, I'm 21.
Hey, yo, 44 is the new 24,
Oh,
dog. Don't
bro.
Thank
let nobody
you,
tell you different.
Marcus. I
Exactly.
love you, bro.
Exactly. But to come back, but it's so cool to hear bands like Ill Niño, Seven Dust, all these bands that Jai and I grew up with as kids, and you're still punishing crowds with what
Yeah,
you're
well,
doing. So
and
that's amazing.
then being able to grow and evolve as a musician, because
Right.
this music you're able to hit, and you're able to tackle different themes and messages with Swim the Current that you weren't able to before. And as I mentioned, be able to explore different themes and messages that you have to create as an artist. Tell me how you convey that through the band and what that's
Mhm.
been like for you to kind of bring these messages, especially with the latest singles, Stay and So Low.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like and this is just from contrast to when I joined El Nino to working with Swim the Current is, when I first got in El Nino, they had a formula. They had a formula
Yes.
that they were sticking to. And I think after that first release, I went to the guys and was like, this isn't working for me. As much as I
Yeah.
love and respect Christian Machado, he was a childhood idol of mine. You know what I mean? One of the reasons why I started singing. Uh, this doesn't work for me. You know what I mean? And
Right.
that's no disrespect, but I would never say the word tripping, or I would never say the word, you know what I mean? Like
Right. Right.
outdated terms like that. And it got to a point where it was like, well, no, you have to say them, because at first, I really didn't have a creative the process. I wasn't a part of the creative process like that. And I had to really go to the OG members and say, hey, like this ain't gonna work if I'm gonna be a Christian stand-in. I need to be me. I need to be Marcus. And in order for me to be
Absolutely.
Marcus, I have to write. You know what I mean? I have to be and obviously I didn't want to take over the writing process completely, but I needed to know that it was me, if that makes
You,
sense. You know what I mean?
you need
So
you got to put your own identity on it.
exactly. There was
Like if you
actually
want to,
one. Go ahead.
no, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say there was one instance in particular where we moved past that first song,
Mm.
and the message was supposed to be aggressive, mean. It was supposed to be setting a statement, and there
Right.
was a line in the song Mascara that says, "Choke on this and die." And I remember everybody kind of
Ooh.
looked at me and pushed back and was like, "Whoa, we don't say that. We don't do that." And that was when I first put my foot down and said, "Hey, well, I do. I
Yeah.
like to drop the F bomb. I like to, convey certain messages like that. Like that for the instance of that song, choke on this and die. You know what I mean? It just kind of was me, and they let
And
me use it, and I feel like it
do it.
unlocked the door for my writing.
Well, and
You
the
know what
way
I
you
mean? With
say
the
it,
band.
dude, the way you say it has so much venom. I believe you.
Yeah. And fast forwarding to Swim the Current, man, there was,
Yeah.
and I give so much props to George Pond, our bass player, who's also our producer. He didn't like boggle me down or tie me down or tell me, "Hey, we want it this way or we want it that way." He said, "Yo, dude, run with what you want to do. Like this is your dream. We're
Yeah.
kind of following you down this path. So, as you said, what kind of messages do you want to convey?"
What do you want
Well,
to
I
convey?
yeah, I got to sing about a lot of things that I wasn't able to with El Nino and even Shattered Sun. And
Yeah.
I think that is like so fulfilling for my soul, man. And I'm so thankful to be a part of the project.
Well, that's exactly what I was touching on my next point there. It must be so fulfilling as an artist and as a person because we're three-dimensional people, you know what I mean? Like we're
Mhm.
metalheads, but you love country. I love folk. I listen to classical music,
Yeah,
Just
Yeah.
before
yeah.
we were chatting to Al Anderson, reggae
Hmm.
rock bloody
Hmm?
royalty for guitarist for Bob Marley and the Wailers and Peter Tosh as well, you know what I mean? Our music
Yeah.
is broad and varied. So to be able to, come in, and that's why I admire bands that do get vocalists and they don't try and go for a carbon copy of what they were doing before.
Correct.
Love it or hate it, and fans are going to sit there probably because too many have keyboards in front of them. But fans are going to come in and have their fucking opinion. But I always love when bands like look at I'm gonna well we've seen Linkin Park but also Fear Factory,
Mhm.
which I love how they got Milo on board.
Oh,
He's an
yeah.
amazingly versatile vocalist, and
Dude,
what he was doing
great vocalist.
before is
Great
fucking
vocalist.
unreal. So it's great to see these different bands get musicians that aren't going to try and fill a fucking box. They're going to try and grow and evolve the band as well because you need these different projects. You know what I mean? So you're able to
Yeah.
now jump into Shattered Sun and get your fucking metal fixed on, come back to Swim the Current. You've got these bands that
Done.
fucking respect you and go, man, this is only going to make Marcus a better musician because, dude, you'll be doing stuff with Swim the Current. Go, fuck, this is going to be good for Shattered Sun. I'm sure you're going to be doing the same with the other project, you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you bring up Milo and you bring up Emily because man, I almost get like defensive to the point when people go out of their way to trash those two in particular because
Right.
I feel like I've been in those shoes, on two different spectrums, you know what I mean? But it's hard to replace a legendary vocalist. And people can say what they want about Christian, about Burton, about Chester. Everybody's got an opinion, but it's hard to not only because you're not replacing the last memory that you have of them. And this is something that I always said, like, yeah, there towards the end things weren't great with Christian, with Burton, with Chester. Maybe not so much with Chester, but things weren't great at the end. But when fill-in or replacement vocalist steps in, whether it's full-time or replacement or fill-in, whatever, like you're going against the ghost of
Yes.
of what that guy used to be. So not Christian there at the end of 2017. You're going up against Christian 2001 when you first heard him on the Freddy versus Jason soundtrack. Milo's going
Exactly.
up against Burt Bell, you know, Prime 1999. You know what I mean? The specter of the vocalist. And man, that's Emily on a whole nother level now because I feel like people are so fucking
Thank you.
mean, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But again, it's a part of the territory, and something I learned with El Nino is I took my eyes out of the comments. I took my eyes
Yeah.
out of the out of all of that shit, and I played my ass off every night, and then I went to the merch table and I shook hands and I signed everybody's, album, shirt, anything I could to let them know, hey, I am you. I am a fan
Yeah.
here representing the band now as the front man. And
Yes.
I got a lot of a lot of good stories out of that, man. A lot of great people that I met because of that.
Beautiful.
I bet you do. Tell me a little bit about making the new material together with Swim the Current. What has the
Oh yeah.
songwriting process been like? And tell us kind of, working together with these guys to create this music going forward as well, and what message you are kind of trying to portray out there with your music.
Yeah, so like I said, whenever George first started sending me the stuff, I mean, they were sending me metal tracks, you know what I mean? And
Mm.
I loved those. But it wasn't until we got to So Low that I was like, man, I want to try a little bit of this with my voice. I want to try a little bit of the country vibes here and there. You know, we don't have to go all the way balls deep in, but you know what I mean, just to kind of test the waters. And so we did it, and we immediately got the attention of TLG Zoid and the Virgin
Yeah.
Music Group, and you know what I mean. The song did really good for it being a cover song, and we were able to get a record deal out of it, and I told the guys right then and there, I said, man, for this just kind of being an idea,
Yeah.
I fought my whole life for my first record deal. So to get a record deal off of an idea and a feeling, you know, it really reassured us that we were making the right move. And as far as like the message that we want to portray, man, here's the thing. Like I know a lot of people, especially in the metal community, are turned off by when you think country, you think of like, oh, my truck, my sister. I always laugh with Mark Rizzo because he's like, oh, my sister's baby daddy's truck broke now. He says all kinds of funny things like that. But I kind of want it to be like the fucking journey of country rock, man. Like the Steve Perry in there, like country's here, but I wanted to elevate the vocals here. You know what I mean? The rock side, oh man, you can't go too rock, you can't go too metal. No, no, no. We're gonna push it a little bit and go a little bit more metal and a little bit more rock. And man, the formula has just been excellent, man. And some of the songs we've been able to come up with, about I lost my father-in-law and my father kind of while I was out on the road with El Nino, and it taught me a lot of hard lessons. Being a musician, something I always tell younger musicians is, the ride up is the glory, man. That's the best part of it. But once you get there, like there's a price that you pay at some point. And I remember my whole life, I always wanted to be in a tour bus. That was like, that was the goal for me. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until, I lost my father and I lost my father-in-law that bus that I wanted my whole life turned into a prison. And, I kind of told myself, man, this is the price that you pay for it. You know what I mean? And we wrote a whole song called the price you pay. And, it's about just that. And again, it just kind of speaks to the message that we're trying to convey. We're trying to touch people's hearts with this music, man. And I think we're off to a great start.
Yes, sir.
You definitely do pay a massive price as a musician. That's why these days when you see people jumping on and coming back to these keyboard warriors, they don't take into account the hundreds and hundreds of hours, countless hours you've spent honing your craft, becoming the vocalist you are today. the amount of hours you spend away from family, on the touring bus, and which sounds
Yeah.
great to begin with, but it's just a bunch of smelly dudes and farts playing games and not really doing
Oh,
fuck all. It's
yeah.
not as exciting as
I
it
love it.
sounds.
I
You
love
know
it.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So you got to have that support back and not just listening on the streaming cycles, which is great to get all those
yeah.
streams up and everything, but also when you guys start touring as well and playing live, getting along to those shows. And as you mentioned, the merch stand, the best fucking place to go, because
Yeah.
99% of the time, one of the guys from the band is sitting back there and you're making these connections as well.
Mhm. Yeah, one of the things that I had heard going into El Nino was, man, the I guess the message that was being put out to the fans from the band, from before I got there was, they're not very genuine. They don't really seem to care about their fans, and
Oh
you know
boy.
what I mean? And they make moves that don't have the fans' best intentions at heart. And when I got in there, man, I immediately wanted to change that. I was like, nah, that's not gonna be that's not gonna be something that happens under my watch. I encourage those guys all the time. And even though we're not on the best of terms right now, I mean they'll tell you that was my thing, is I wanted to restore that faith from
Mhm.
the fans to the band, and from the band to the fans. And even though it didn't end good, but I'm proud of the connections that we made there, and some of the amazing stories that I heard from El Nino fans all over the world. And just happy to have shared them and experienced them, man.
I should be proud of the time you spent there, and I bet you're looking forward to Swim the Current and being able to do that playing live. What's your plans, guys, for playing live? Have you got anything kind of lined up for 2025? I know it's rounding out towards the
Yeah.
year now, but what's the live plans for you guys going forward?
So the beautiful thing about Swim the Current, man, is, and I would say the country rock scene in general is, they're tapping into both markets. So it's like,
Right.
you can go play a country crowd, but then you can also go open for fucking Black Label Society, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I've seen that so much. And the beautiful part about like what we're doing is, just in the lining up of the tours that we have coming up next year, I see that, like, we'll bounce from something that's metal, and then we'll bounce into something that's a little bit more traditional country. And I've been going to a lot of country shows lately, and because again, man, I'm coming into this new. You know what I mean? I've only done metal since I was 13 years old, and I'm 36. You know what I mean? So I gotta
Right.
relearn how to talk to a crowd. I gotta relearn how to address a crowd. It's a completely different crowd than the crowds that I'm used to. So it's all a learning experience, man. But the beautiful part about it is that it's happening. You know what I mean? The tours are being booked. The album is
Yeah.
set to come out in late February, early March. So I'm just, man, I'm elated. It feels like I'm a kid all over again with Shattered Sun. You know what I mean? Because with El Nino, it was a little different. You know what I mean? There was
Yeah.
one guy that was running the camp and setting things up with. So there really wasn't much, you know, excitement there. And I
Right.
feel I feel excited, like I was
You-
23, 24 years old again.
I love it.
Well, that's kind of what you want as a songwriter and a musician. I'm excited too to look forward what is going to happen with Swim the Current and also with Shattered Sun. Marcus, look, this has been an absolute bloody pleasure to get to chat to you about Swim the Current. It's an amazing act.
Thanks.
And for me, I love the line that it does balance, as you mentioned. It has that country rock sound, but also has these metal influences. So it does have this real catchability and these hooks that grab you, regardless if you're a metalhead, you're into rock, into your country, you can kind of really gravitate to this. And what I found, it was really, really easy to jump in. That track what you were talking about, We're Not the Same, is an absolutely great track, as is Solo and Stay. They really do hit hard, but they have this rockability to them. And also you can feel these metal influences that you guys do bring into it. So like you said, you can play with all these different bands and it has this accessibility. So I cannot recommend this enough for you all to go check out Swim the Current. Marcus, do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in there, my friend?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what you said, just kind of looking at the response to these songs. I see people that would never fucking listen to country say, "Oh man, I fucking love this." And then I see people that only listen to country and they're like, "Hey, I don't even fucking touch anything rock, but I love this." And that kind of, to walk away from something that is established, to walk away from something that is a guarantee into something that, was just an idea. It was just something that I really wanted to do. To see the fans react this way is so fucking incredible. I'm so thankful for anybody out there that's spreading the word or, you know what I mean, really giving us their support. And I promise you this, man, we are going to tour our fucking ass off in 2025. And I look forward to seeing every single one of you, man. Thank you guys for having me on the podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
Brother, we are honored to have you, my friend.
Absolute bloody pleasure. Everybody grab some Swim the Current, chuck it in the stereos, crank it up really bloody loud. The neighbors are going to want to hear it too. Cheers, Marcus.
Cheers, guys.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai That Aussie Metal Guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.